This is an unboxing of the iPhone 14 Pro Max to find out exactly what comes included in the box. And before we dive into this package, I want to thank this video's sponsor, Navi. Navi is a free online tool that makes it easy to compare the best deals on new phones. Simply enter your current carrier and phone, and Navi shows you popular upgrades for your current device. Select the phone you want, and Navi immediately shows you the best deals from both your current carrier as well as competing offers if you were to switch carriers. Simply select the deal you're interested in, and Navi gives you an amazing deal summary page. Seriously, I love this. Navi shows you exactly how this deal works, and it tells you the fine print. So don't miss getting a great deal on your iPhone 14 Pro Max. Sign up for Navi today for free at the link in the video description. And now let's find out what comes included in this super slim box. Looks like it's just the iPhone 14 Pro Max itself. A little bit of origami as you open the box. It kind of pops the phone out. The iPhone used to be wrapped in plastic in the box. Apple has gone away with that. They are plastic free with their iPhone shipments this year. And that leaves us with the iPhone 14 Pro Max itself. Box looks super nice. This is one of the biggest iPhone boxes I've ever held. What's really cool, I don't know if this is gonna come up on camera, but the iPhone has a purple hint to it, sort of a purple sheen. Looks really nice because this is that brand new deep purple color. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what comes included with your brand new iPhone 14 Pro Max. Whew. And we are immediately greeted with that deep purple phone. Wow. I have to say, this is a really nice color and finish from Apple. It kind of has some gray tones in there, some purple tones, very muted, very subdued. We're gonna set the iPhone off to the side for now and see what else we get in the box. First up is gonna be our 1 meter Lightning to USB Type-C charging and power cable. You can use this technically for data transfer, but it's so slow. It's still using like USB 2.0 speeds. Kind of embarrassing. Apple needs to fix this. Also included is going to be our paperwork. And for the first time ever, the iPhone does not include a SIM card, so there is no SIM eject tool. My friend, where'd it go? So my beloved friend, the SIM eject tool is no longer included. Thankfully, I guess you no longer need it. And that's it. That's all that's included with your brand new iPhone 14 Pro Max. When you buy the iPhone from Apple, you are literally just getting the iPhone. You're not getting the 5-watt power adapter they used to include, but let's be real, these were pretty garbage anyway. Really, what I think Apple should have included with their Pro lineup is at least a 20-watt USB Type-C power adapter, because this would be able to fast charge your iPhone up to 50% in just 30 minutes. These are available separately, but there you go. Let's get the packaging out of here and then take a look at the iPhone 14 Pro Max itself. Whew, this is it. Let's do the magic shake to set up and take a closer look at the hardware. Starting with the exterior, we have polished stainless steel rails running around the perimeter of the device. These look really nice. On the back of the phone, we have that frosted matte finish for the glass in this beautiful deep purple color. It's gonna change depending on what light hits it and the conditions. It's really, really nice. On the front, we have ceramic shield. This is Apple's glass. They claim it's some of the toughest glass ever in a smartphone. And this is IP68 water and dust resistant as well. Now let's talk about Dynamic Island, one of the most discussed new features of iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro. You can actually see it's two parts. So you have a little dark pill section on the left and then a front-facing camera on the right. The left part houses the True Depth camera system. This is everything that makes Face ID work. It includes the infrared camera, the dot projector, and the flood illuminator. All of that has been redesigned to take up 30% less area. And the proximity sensor has actually been moved to be behind the display. Finally, on the right, we have our front-facing selfie camera. This is actually an entirely new sensor with autofocus and an f1.9 aperture. So what is the Dynamic Island actually used for? It's used for four main things. system alerts and notifications, live activities, now playing, and call kit. System alerts and notifications include things like changing your mute ringer switch from ring to silent. It'll also show changes in focus mode, and you can see it's used for Face ID on the lock screen. You have a little lock icon there, and it'll unlock. The second thing Dynamic Island does is display live activities, which are things that are happening in the background. Let's say you set a timer for 15 minutes and you go home. That's an activity that's now happening in the background, and so Dynamic Island is going to show you your timer and how much time is remaining. Now, another thing that can happen is you can get a phone call, and this, of course, will also be going on in the background. So you'll get that nice notification pop-up of the phone call, and if you answer it and you're talking on the phone, the Dynamic Island will actually shrink and it'll be split to show you your ongoing phone call and your ongoing timer. To go back to either of these, you can just tap and it'll open up the phone, or you can tap and jump back to your timer. So those are ongoing activities in the background with the Dynamic Island. The third thing Dynamic Island is used for is Now Playing, which is any audio app. This includes music, podcasts, audiobooks, and anything else. So to demo this, just hop in the music app, pick a song to play, make sure it's muted so I don't get copyright striked, and then you can see when I go home, you can see the album artwork right there in Dynamic Island. You can press and hold this to actually get a nice little widget pop-up to jump to the next song. I think you can even scrub between. Yeah, you can scrub your songs and you get a nice little icon there to show that the music is playing or it's paused. Really nice. Again, to jump back to the music player or the audiobook or whatever you're using, simply tap on the Dynamic Island and you'll jump right back to that application. And the fourth thing is Call Kit. This is going to show you ongoing calls from supported apps like Google Voice, WhatsApp, Skype, and others. I basically showed you that with the phone call, but there you go. Now let's talk cameras. These are probably the next biggest thing that's new with iPhone 14, and quite literally, the camera bump is massive. On the back, we have 3 cameras. We have a 3x telephoto, a main camera, and a 0.5x ultra-wide camera. The main camera is brand new. It's a new 48 megapixel sensor. It has an f1.78 aperture, a 24mm focal length equivalent, and is 65% larger to let in more light. Now, the new 48 megapixel sensor is something that's called a quad Bayer sensor. Apple is labeling this as quad pixel, and basically what it does is it combines 4 pixels into one giant pixel to gather 4 times more light. This is going to drastically improve the low light performance of the camera and help retain a lot more details. And because you are combining 4 pixels into one, the final output photo will be 12 megapixels. That said, you can opt to shoot in Pro RAW, which will let you shoot at the full 48 megapixel resolution. There's also a 2x crop mode, which crops in into the center 12 megapixels of the sensor for a 2x zoom. But again, because you're not combining the pixels in this mode, it might have a little bit less detail or perform a little bit worse in lower light environments. Finally, that main camera is getting the 2nd generation sensor shift stabilization, which should help keep your camera a little bit more steady when you're taking night shots, low light shots, long exposure shots, or any other captures that requires your camera to stay still to get better detail and clarity. Next, we have the ultra wide camera. This is also a brand new sensor. It's f2.2 and has a 13mm focal length equivalent. The new sensor should have 3 times better low light performance. The third camera is the 3x telephoto zoom camera. This is the same exact camera and sensor that was on the 13 Pro, and it has an f2.8 aperture and a 77mm focal length equivalent. Now that said, the telephoto camera and the main camera now have 2 times better low light performance thanks to what Apple is calling the photonic engine. This is basically a new way that they process your photos, and it's giving you way better low light performance across all 3 cameras. The final thing different here is the flash. This is an adaptive true tone flash, and it will actually change the spread of the light depending on which camera lens you're using to capture the photo. It's pretty cool. In terms of video performance, all of these cameras will shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second in Dolby Vision HDR, and you can get up to 1080p 240 frames per second slow motion recording if you're into that as well. And I guess one more new feature is the action mode. This shoots at 2.8K resolution and gives you super stabilized video if you're recording action shots or anything like that. Okay, that's what's new with the cameras. Next, let's talk display. And it's kind of hard to miss the display because with iPhone 14 Pro, it's always on. Yes, this is what the phone looks like when technically it's been turned off. You can see it's quite bright. You can still read everything quite clearly. You can hardly even tell it's off. But it's using a new screen panel that can refresh as low as 1 Hertz to help optimize battery and hopefully not take too big of a hit. This new display also has a new resolution. The previous display was 2778 by 1284 at 458 pixels per inch. This new display is 2796 by 1290 at 460 pixels per inch. So you get 2 extra more pixels per inch. It has the same typical max peak brightness of 1000 nits, but it has a brighter peak brightness in HDR mode. Instead of 1200 nits, it'll actually peak at 1600 nits. Finally, there's a new outdoor brightness mode, which will give you up to 2000 nits of peak brightness on your new iPhone 14 Pro Max. In terms of battery, this has a 4,323 milliamp hour battery that supports 29 hours of local video playback, 25 hours of streamed video playback, and up to 95 hours of audio playback. It also supports fast charging with a compatible power adapter, which will get you up to 50% battery in just 35 minutes, just so long as your power adapter is 20 watts or higher. And the phone also still works with Apple MagSafe, which will allow you to wirelessly charge using the magnets. Very convenient, I love it, and a very cool feature. All right, what is powering this beast? It's the A16 Bionic Processor. This has a 6-core CPU with 2 high-performance cores and 4 high-efficiency cores. It appears the efficiency cores are about the same, and the performance cores are what got the improvements. They're now a little bit faster and use 20% less power. There's also 50% more memory bandwidth in the A16 Bionic. This helps improve the graphical performance when you're playing graphically intensive games. Additionally, there's faster memory. You're still getting the same 6 gigs of memory, but instead of it being LPDDR4X, it's now LPDDR5 memory, again for faster performance. Now let's talk about my favorite thing, the cellular performance. The iPhone 14 Pro Max is using Qualcomm's X65 modem, which is the world's first 10 gigabit 5G modem. That means you can get up to 10 gigabit speeds in some insane theoretical world. Overall performance is great on this modem though, and it'll especially perform better in areas where there is weak signal. This phone also supports AT&T's new mid-band 5G spectrum. This is the 3.45 gigahertz they just bought in the Andromeda auction. It also has band N77, which is what Dish Wireless is using as part of their network. So this phone is gonna work great on Dish. Finally, the iPhone 14 Pro also has satellite connectivity. Yes, you can connect your phone to satellites in an emergency situation to communicate with authorities and first responders. Basically, you need to literally line your phone up with a satellite orbiting the Earth, keep it exactly aligned, and you'll be able to send a message and communicate either directly with emergency authorities, or you'll communicate with Apple, who will then communicate to emergency authorities on your behalf. It's a nice feature to have and kind of cool Apple was able to implement it. It's coming later this fall. 2 more things. iPhone 14 Pro supports Wi-Fi 6. Unfortunately, you're not getting Wi-Fi 6E here, but I think Wi-Fi 6 is still stupendous, and it supports Bluetooth 5.3. That is iPhone 14 Pro Max in the deep purple color. What do you think of this new phone? Are you getting it? Let me know with a comment below. Click the like button if you found this video helpful, and make sure to share it with a friend. I'm Stetson. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.